What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our reaction show where we are going to break down everything that we saw as the Hounds unfortunately lost at home to North Carolina 2-0. For those of you who are listening or watching, I do promise we are going to probably get a little bit dark here, but we will bring it back full circle and it will be fun by the end, I promise. So just stick around. I am Mike Sparks. Joining me is Steve Mattiace and Liz Brokaw. Liz, you are in because once again Josh just wimped out, or what happened? Where's Josh?
Oh, he got sick. So Friday we both work from home, and then we went to listen to blues down at a local bar. And he was coughing a little bit. I was like, "Are you feeling okay? You've been coughing quite a bit." He's like, "I haven't been coughing." I was like, "Okay, maybe."
How dare you?
And he woke up Saturday morning and he looked at me. He goes, "I'm sick." I was like, how sick? He's like, "I feel really bad." So he didn't go to the game, and especially because it was raining. And I came home today from another event. I was like, "Are you doing the podcast?" He's like, "No." I'm like, I mean, I get it. I hate being sick, so I can't blame him for any of these reactions. But it just he doesn't get sick very often. So when he is, he's just like, "I hate it."
I really love your impressions of sick Josh.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've ever seen Josh sick,
Yeah.
but I love the idea of a pouty Josh, just like
It's exactly what it is. I'm exactly the same way though, because I so rarely get sick. Like when I'm like, I don't know what I want, and I don't want anything, and nothing feels good.
So I think we've learned that it's not an impression of Josh. It's just Liz what sick looks like.
I mean, it is an impression of Josh. We just are both really whiny when we're sick.
Well, I guess Josh aside, Liz, how are you?
Great. I went to a event last weekend and got a flash tattoo, and then I went to an event this weekend and got another flash tattoo.
Nice. So I think I knew about one of them.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the second one. What was the second one?
So
if you don't mind, if you don't have to share if you don't want to.
No, I don't care. So
Okay.
I've decided all of my flash tattoos, because I've never gotten one before. Now I have 2 in 2 weeks. So they're all going to go on my calf. So I'm calling it my flash calf. So I have the keystone with a heart where Pittsburgh is. And then this one is a cat like reaching up as if to give a high five, because Una, our oldest cat, will put out her paw and give you a high five for pets.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And it's got a lily inside of it, inside the cat. So it's adorable. So I'm going to get my whole calf with all of the flash tattoos that I like. And when it's full, I'll find someone whose color work I like. And then they'll just spend a day treating my calf as a coloring book. And I'll have like a color palette for it.
Nice.
At one point, I went down sort of the rabbit hole of tattoo shorts. And there are some artists out there that do insane work. Like I've seen artists who will literally paint like on your arm, and then they will turn that into a tattoo, and it's like this it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
There's a ton of designs.
Yeah, at some point I would love to get not like a full sleeve, but like something on my forearm that's a little bit bigger than what I have. And I'm like contemplating like finding somebody and like trying to go there to do something completely different, unique, and fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, obviously.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Cool. Steve, how are you, my friend? No tattoos.
I've never come up with something that I feel I can commit to. No, I'm doing good. Glad that it was not as wet as the forecast called for, because I was able to get my fruit garden fenced off. So that's like fun, because now I've got an area and it's all mulched underneath, and Rory and his friends can't get in there and trample things, and he can't steal the wood chips, and the rabbits can't get in there that run around the yard. So that's kind of the weekend project, and feels like really good to have it done, and I'm really proud of it. So yeah,
good for you, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we similarly we kind of rushed this weekend. We had built 6 raised beds, but then we had to like fill them and then kind of temporary fence it off until we can build like a permanent fence. And I thoroughly enjoyed. I was doing dishes the other day and watching the one leghorn chicken walk around the outside of the temporary fence, trying to find a way in, and just couldn't do it. And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Keep walking. Like, yeah, you're not getting into that one." So, yeah.
So, question: do you buy a potting mix, like an outdoor mix, or do you make your own soil?
So we got basically half of a truckload of mushroom manure from this guy who has it, and it's like magical stuff. And so we're probably like 7/8 of the way full in the bed with the mushroom manure. I originally put like pine logs in the bottom. We had a pine tree that came down, so we chopped it up, put those in. Then we did mushroom manure. Now we're gonna do some form of a topsoil and some kind of mix on top, and then plant straight into that and roll it and see what happens. So
you are going to have food for years.
I'm hoping that's the case.
I love it.
We're becoming like preppers. I also installed a rain barrel that is now full because of the rain. And so
have you dug out a bunker yet?
Not yet, but it's on the list.
Okay, then you're not a prepper yet.
On the list. Oh no.
I don't want necessarily this is way off the rails. I don't necessarily
I thought we were getting to the fun later, not now.
Yeah. I don't want a bunker. I would love a cold cellar. Steve, I know to like store food in and but we'll save that for another time. Guys, we do need to talk about this game, but as a lead in, let's let Laura Ellen dance us into.
Before we go, can I just say this was great because I got to I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see her face as she was recording this.
She was recording
it. And so I can't wait to watch this because I have a sense of her state, but no idea what she was saying.
Well, here we go.
And now, hey sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
Pittsburgh, I'm cold, I'm wet, I want to go home. Why did we come the whole way out here, sit in the rain and the drizzle to watch this atrocious game? The ref was horrible. So many cards should have gone to North Carolina, but yet here we are. I am so cold. I am so wet. This video can't even be a minute because I'm just cold and wet and I want to go home and
This has been Hey Sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
That's it. That's the show. Perfect.
That's it.
No notes.
Done. Yeah, no notes. I was laughing so hard because she said it to me last night, and I'm literally like editing pieces of it together. And my wife, who's in the other room, goes, "Is that Laura Ellen?" And I was like, "Yep." And you're there. Perfect. So, guys, obviously, Hounds coming back home. We were kind of hoping that some home cooking would sort of right the ship. Unfortunately, it did not. We end up losing 2-0 to North Carolina. You guys were there, right? Both of you? Yeah. Liz, before we get into anything that happened on the field, what was the vibe like in the stadium? Did you get to touch the turf? How are you feeling?
We did touch the turf. It is very bouncy. Like you can tell that it's new and cushy and it feels delightful. I heard from many staff members, though, that the pellets have not settled at all. Can attest. I have many pellets on my entryway right now, but that is their biggest complaint is that the pellets are currently sticking to literally everything. So they hate that. I mean, the threat of rain and people in our area still not having power definitely led to less people in the stands. It led to less people at tailgate. But I would say that shockingly, the Steel Army got off to a start very quickly and kept with it. Sometimes we go completely off the rails and we will just be a weird kind of chaos, which typical for a rain game and especially typical if it's low attendance. But we were like on it. So we have a lot of feelings about it, but I was really proud of us.
So I was unable to get there. I was really hoping to get to this one. Literally, my son was attending a prom in Johnstown, so we were like taking pictures, and we'll get to that later. But I will say that even sort of watching it on TV, the primary like main section in the Paul Child looked strong, looked full. The wings were a little sparse, but I totally expected that from the rain.
Yep.
Steve, what was your take on just sort of the atmosphere in the stadium?
I can't give you a good take on the atmosphere in the stadium because my take on the night and my experience was I love watching soccer with Justin. Okay. He gave me a shout out on the preview show. I'm giving him a shout out tonight. It is just so much fun. And I miss sitting and hanging out with Justin game in and game out and talking about the game. So that was that was one of the best parts of the night for me.
Well, good. Beyond your man crush on Justin, give me a takeaway from this one. Let's talk about what happened on the field.
I think we played better than we have on average this season, and we still have no idea how to score a goal.
I'll be honest, this was tougher. You guys were all there. I was doing the player ratings at home. And anytime a team loses 2-0, it's difficult to not have that translate into poor ratings for the players. Yeah. But there were some players that still I looked at and I was like, yeah, but they had nothing to do with those goals. Like they actually put in a good effort and they were popping up in places that they shouldn't have. So should they be penalized, or like, how does this work? And so I know in the emotion of losing 2-0 and, you know, basically giving up almost a 3-on-1 at the end of the game, it's very easy to just be like, everyone gets a 3 and you're done. But I thought there was still some good to come out of this. Liz, you did the full 90 afterwards. People seem to be relatively positive still that you talked to. What was your feeling, you know, as the game went on and maybe after the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the full 90 is a delightfully skewed piece of that universe, because anyone who's going to stay for 90 minutes of, I will disagree with Steve, a incredibly average game this year, and through the rain, and then be out on the field and willing to talk to a stranger who just makes eye contact, makes them feel very awkward, and then runs up and says, "Do you want to be on a podcast?" They probably are not going to be the most critical individuals. So there is still a lot. And I think that I feel this too. So this is not my day job, right? Like, playing the game is not my day job. So I love going to that stadium. I love hanging out with these people. This year especially, I love so many of the men who are on the field who I'm connecting with in different ways. I know their preferred breakfast. I talk to them about Broadway. I know some of their family members, you know, like different. Your favorite, can I make you whatever for dinner? Like, just there's other things going on that make the overall experience still incredibly enjoyable. And like, it's a situation where it's like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And like, you can feel that, but still feel a lot of joy overall. And I think that's an overwhelming feeling that I find, especially on the full 90. It's a delightfully skewed event for me.
I have to know.
So heartwarming.
Yes, I have to know though. Who do you talk to Broadway about? Because this feels like a conversation I need to have with somebody.
Oh, sure. It's Jackson Walty.
Of course it is. Okay. All right. Yeah.
What can't Jackson do?
Yeah. I will. He and I have some stories we got to share. Okay, cool.
There you go.
Steve, give me another takeaway from this one.
We're giving up goals in ways that we want to see our goals scored, and I think the worst part about it is Luis Perez was signed to his first professional contract by Bob Lilly as a Riverhound. Didn't pick up his option. We don't have a guy, I don't think, that can score a goal like that. And so this is not so much, do I expect to see our midfielders doing that? But this is a, what the heck are you doing, Bob? Because you can't score goals. And yet how many good players in this league have left and gone on and had success, and we're still looking for ways to find goals all season long.
It is interesting, you know, when we do the prediction show, Justin and I often will try to look and see like who on this team that we're playing against is a former Hound, and it's getting more difficult to find a team in the East that doesn't have a former Hound on it. Then the West is a completely different story. We do ship some guys out West, but yeah, the number of players that have come through this team and end up somewhere else and potentially doing really well just continues to grow. So,
but is that like a USL thing? Like, I know there are a couple of teams who have started to keep rosters, and Steve, you note this especially because you're here for consistency. But I mean, I'd be interested in what is that across the different teams? Like, how do you see the different movement? Because I feel like that's a USL thing. Now, don't get me wrong, we've lost talent for any number of reasons, but I don't know if that specific thing I would attribute to Bob.
I mean, if you sort of look back even at this team, I'm trying to think of like how many guys have come from other USL
I
teams.
think that's the difference.
I think a lot of them will come through college, or we will sign them from somewhere else, but we're not necessarily plucking guys from other USL teams. I mean, Augie is the obvious standout. We'll get to Augie. But yeah, for the most part, it feels like Bob almost prefers to bring in guys that are untested here and kind of mold them and make them what he wants.
I mean, we know. So this is a Bob problem. Like, he has a pool of talent that he's not pulling from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob problem might have been a better title to this show, but we'll get into that. Liz, give me another takeaway. What are you thinking about? It could be about this game. It could be about the team in general. Just what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we still don't take shots, and like that is a Bob problem. That is like, it's never been his forte. It is something that he has improved upon, but I think it's more the league has changed and you don't have a ton of options there. And has it changed so much? And are we hitting a wall at which he's not growing? Because if you don't adapt every year, then you will fall behind. And like, I know Bob's been in the league for a long time, and a lot of people respect him and look up to him. And like, that's not to discount any of that, but has he reached a wall where he's not adapting? Because from the end of last year to the beginning of this year, there is not a change that says to me that he is meeting what's happening in the USL and how players are being developed and are reacting on other teams. And if you can't react, if you can't adapt, if Bob can't go in and have a talk at halftime and bring out a new formation, which he can't anymore, it seems, what are we doing?
Yeah. This North Carolina team is a team that we said in the first game of the season, we drew 1-1. There were some bright spots. I think I specifically said, okay, if you can go to North Carolina and get a draw, come home and get 3 points, that's a win. Like you got more points than them over the course of the season. You do that with most of the teams, you're going to be just fine. This was a team that North Carolina had lost their last 3 games across all competitions. They were feeling down on themselves. They're coming into a Highmark stadium that we have dominated. We have not lost at Highmark since July, and we kind of just rolled over. Now, I will say the 2 goals they scored, I thought were good goals. I can't necessarily fault Eric Dick on either of them. In fact, I thought Eric kind of showed himself pretty well, especially at the end, to keep it from being 3-0. But why we are not generating those same kind of chances, the excuses, I think you can only give excuses for so long. You know, Robbie Mertz wasn't in this game. He wasn't on the injury report. Liz, you said you talked to him afterwards. He's doing okay?
Yeah, he booped his head. So I anticipate that concussion protocol, everyone was like, well, we saw him in practice. But I mean, his own teammates will avoid his head, whereas the opponent will not. So I mean, I didn't get into, depth of it. Ariana did ask, will you be putting back on the wrap? Because that was such a good Robbie Mertz. And he emphatically said, no, it's an internal injury and I don't have to. Okay, Robbie.
I'm picturing 2 things. I'm picturing you asking him what happened and him saying, I booped my head, which I know he didn't actually say. And then you ask about the head wrap and it's no.
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 Could have been, but yeah.
But regardless, so no Robbie. We've been dealing with Bertan being out. We've been dealing with Augie we've been dealing with guys being out left and right. Mm-hmm. There are reasons for that. Some of it is preventable. Some of it is not preventable. We've had conversations off air about this. We can get into it on air if we want, but regardless, you can only make excuses for so long. And at a certain point, if you're not scoring, you're not scoring.
And but also, if you're not doing anything about it,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're missing the pieces to play your game and you're like, that's fine. It ain't fine because you don't have your pieces. So if you cannot adapt, if you cannot grow, if you insist on bringing in individuals, if you insist on having a team that is inexperienced in general, then you have to have options. And right now, they're not appearing, right? Like I've talked in previous seasons that Bob expects you to be able to play at least 3 different positions. He's going to move you around, et cetera, et cetera. Apparently that's not working this year and it's not happening. Like there are a couple of players who are like, running the whole entirety of the field, from left to right, but that's not really playing different positions and you don't have the pieces. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I have a thought that I want to continue on with that, but Steve, you've been sitting patiently, quietly. I'm curious your thoughts on sort of everything Liz and I have been ping-ponging back and forth here.
What is it? Like it's something like 4 1/4, 4 1/3 shots per game. That's just really, really bad. Right? Like I don't know what Bob expects. And then Liz is saying all of the exact thoughts that are through my head, that you have to come up with something different. You have to go out and get the players. To just say that, well, this person is injured. Okay, so then what are you doing about it? And I don't have a good response to that because you can say that all you want, but if players continually get injured, especially not in games by opponents, and you don't have a backup plan when that happens, that you don't have a forward when you play a cup game in Detroit, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like you've got 4 forwards on the roster. One of them is an academy contract. One of them is a first-year pro. One of them is in his, 8th game as a Hound. I don't know. How many games did Burton play last year? Right? Like, 8-10 games last year, and he played his first minutes last night. And then Augie Williams, right? Like that's not an attack.
Yeah.
You have no options.
Yeah.
I got another takeaway.
Yeah, give me another I have thoughts, but give me a takeaway. Go for it.
A tale of 2 defenders. That on the one hand, we have one that I think looks better because of the guy next to him. And on the other hand, we have one that looks worse because of the guy next to him. And so I think that it has got to be excruciating if you are Sean Suber right now, because I think Sean has made very few mistakes this season. I think he has done his job week in, week out. And yet, we're consistently giving him lower and lower score, or not lower and lower scores, but lower scores because the rest of the defense is letting him down.
I love how you said a tale of 2 defenders and you just mentioned Sean by name and not the other one that's hanging out there.
Hey, I'm not going to call players out like that.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I mean, I'll do it. But Liz, to your point. Well, no, listen, to your point. It makes it so much more difficult because we do care about these guys as people.
Right.
So it makes it difficult. But Alal, like literally, I forget how many minutes into the game was out wide and just like hung a really dingy little pass into the center of the field. And they were able to spring and basically get like a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2. And Suber cleaned up for them. So they didn't end up getting a shot away. But that was just another example of just like, it's not cutting it. And I don't know what Bob doesn't get about that, whether it's we don't have other defenders that can step in and cover for him, or this has been a string of games. And if you look at the comments in our reviews and you look at comments other places, this is not just us. Like this feels like a pretty obvious issue. And if it is a bodies situation and we're waiting for new guys to get up to speed, okay. But again, this just feels like a continuation of what we typically see at the beginning of the season, where it's this waiting game of our preseason isn't 6 weeks. Our preseason is like 14 weeks or 15 weeks because it stretches into the regular season while we try to figure out what we're doing. The difficult thing is that I was not there, but apparently there was a dust up between Ilal and Augie during the game. Other players know this too, and it's hurting Ilal, it's hurting the team, it's hurting everybody.
Well,
and
like Charleston, same thing. There was a point in the game where 3 different players did this to each other. I don't know what to do, but a WTF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they raised their hands and they stared at each other, and it's like, what do you want me to do? And because that is something that is so hard for me, as like, we are fans who get to be close to our players because we get to go on the field, we get to have conversations. We are lucky enough to have them on this show and to like talk about extra things. And their mental health is bad right now, right? Like, I can say, how are you feeling? Fine. Or I can talk to some of them and be like, how's their locker room? And they're like, it sucks, right? And it's not because necessarily they're upset with each other, right? I don't think that I don't know, but I don't think that there are a ton of like conflicts within the team. But if nobody has a mentality to like persevere and they're not given the space, and listen, I have given Bob a lot of grace in the way in which he teaches, right? Because he's been here for a long time. It's worked. People wouldn't come back if he was the worst person in the world. Probably. I don't know. But this year specifically, and right now with what I'm hearing, he can't be who he is. He has to take a step back and take a breath. Because if your mental health is suffering, then everything else will suffer. I mean, like, the things that I've heard from players, it breaks my heart. And there's only so much I can do. I am twice their age. I'm like a side friend, right? Like, I'm an associate. So like, I can only do so many things to help, and I desperately want to do. And it's like killing me. They're like to hear them say, thanks for coming out, and like, with like, you know, disheart in their eyes, and they're just distraught. And I'm like, I will always be here for you. Not just because I love watching soccer and I love watching my hometown team, but like, you're someone I care about. But like, how much does that hit from an associate? And then like, Bob will yell at them probably for multiple days. And when he's coaching, he's an aggressive coach. And this right now, I am very upset.
Well, and real quick, Steve, I want to get your thoughts, but real quick, what I just said about we need to be able to separate kind of the person from the player. I've had conversations with Bob that have been very sweet, very genuine. I don't think he's a bad guy. It's just that his performance as a coach can come under fire, just like the players' performance as players can come under fire. It's like you hate the job, not the person, kind of thing. So
no, I 100% agree, Mike. I am better at understanding the game because of my conversations with Bob Lilly. I am better on this podcast because of my conversations with Bob Lilly, right? Like, I have learned a lot from very few conversations with Bob, right? Like, it's not like I'm having them with him all the time, right? But like, it makes me better at all of this. That doesn't mean that I think that the methods and the ways that the constant yelling, especially when the players are not performing well, that at some point, like, that's just not helpful. I don't know what he expects. And if he really thinks that if he just yells more, that will get results, instead of just stepping back and saying, okay, it's not working. What can I do differently, rather than they just need to do this?
Listen, when we've been struggling to score with Augie up top, I know that you want to keep him in there. Something will crack eventually. It was 76-ish minute, I think, that we put in Larson and Garcia and somebody else. I forget who. Jacqueson. And I thought that we completely changed the way that we addressed the attack. Larson looked almost more like a Steven Dos Santos type player, where we're still playing balls over the top. He was immediately knocking them down to a runner like Garcia underneath, and Garcia's not afraid to shoot. So within like 30 seconds of them being on the field, we had a decent scoring opportunity. Do I think that's the ultimate solution? No. Do I think that mixing things up when something isn't working, rather than just trying to continually shove a round peg into a square hole? Yes. Like, mix it up. I think especially last night, there were a number of glaring things that jumped out at me that just made me think, like, there's a massive problem right here, right in this spot. and we have the players to fix it. We're just not utilizing the way to fix it, and it makes it tough. So,
yeah. I think that Bob expects Augie to be doing what Chico Albertiqua did 2 seasons ago, which is just put the ball at his foot, find a way to score out of nothing. And I think the problem with that is he's a very different forward. Mm-hmm. And to expect him to just be that guy that's aggressive, he's nowhere near as like big of a guy, right? Like, I mean, I will say, like, of all of the players that the Hounds have ever had, like, Chico is like, give you a hug after the game. You'd be like, man, this guy is ripped, right? Like he was a beast.
He also like, he right? sat like, in the box. So you could just deliver to the box. That was your only job. That's not how Augie plays at all. He is so much more involved in the play. Right.
And he needs to be for him to be successful, but he's never involved in the play unless he's dropping way back and we haven't had anybody else on the field that is in the box. And that's why we're not scoring.
Yeah.
Well, that, and we're not taking shots.
Well, that's true.
If you don't
try. That's because we never get the chance to take the shots.
There's so many problems here, guys.
I mean, look, statistically, we now have 10 points in 9 games across all competitions. 3 of those points came against Columbus Crew too. So if you actually look, if you remove that game and you just look at how we've done against USL Championship opponents, we have 7 points in 8 games, and that's just not going to cut it. You know, we've given up 10 goals over those 8 games, which is 1.25 goals per game. And if you look historically, that's not awful. Like as long as you're scoring, you can kind of overcome that. But I feel like we put a lot of focus on what's happening on the defensive side and other teams scoring goals, primarily because we're just not scoring them ourselves. We only scored 6 goals over 8 games, and that's awful. You're never going to win. You're barely going to draw doing that. So it's just, oh man, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, so I do want to say, I mean, the first 15 or so minutes of the match, the Hounds looked good. They were attacking. They were playing well in the attacking third and doing a lot of things that if they could have kept that up, could have yielded some results. The problem is after that faded away, the question became, can we hold a shutout? Because from that point on through the rest of the game, it was all North Carolina's game. And so it was just, is our defense going to be good enough to keep them out of the back of the net? And it wasn't, right? And so that was my hope after that stuff faded early in the game, that we just need to get out of tonight with a 0-0 draw. It didn't happen.
Yeah. Geez, I know I need to spin this. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunderstorm happening outside. It's pretty gnarly. Anyway, yeah. Hopefully I don't lose internet or power. Yeah. So we do need to sort of like wrap up, talk about this game, spin this a little bit. I don't know. Like we have a game against NYCFC coming up midweek. At this point, Liz, do you have any hopes that we're going to like do anything in that game?
I always have hope. Why not? What does it hurt to have a little bit of hope? Also, if any of the players are listening to this game, what does it hurt to be like, yeah, I believe that we have the pieces, which I think we're all saying, right? Have the players. They're in their heads for a number of reasons. It's having real bad effects. Guys, please take care of yourselves. Yeah. Get an extra smoothie. Take a nap. I don't know what you need, but please do it. But I definitely have hope. I don't know if you take Rob Vincent or you take Canardo Forbes and you let them work with the midfield or the forwards. You take a little bit of the players out of Bob's hands. I mean, especially right now, I think there's a fair argument for your back line's bleeding, Bob. So you can focus on those boys. And then let's get somebody else to talk to our attacking forwards and to our strikers. And let's divide and conquer here. And I think that maybe if you do that and you let some things settle and you feel some confidence, that quickly expands. So I do have hope for Wednesday.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think the word you said there is confidence. And like, how do we get that confidence back? Steve, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think something has to break one way or the other, right? Like, I think that this is the type of situation where we just need to get a lead and a win. And I think we saw that last season when we couldn't buy a goal for, what was it, 9 games, where we were 20 minutes shy of the longest goal drought that can stay in the grave with City Islanders, thankfully, right? But when that happened, the relief that you saw in the moment, but then after that same game, right, with the players, the change that made for the rest of the season. And I think that's what this team needs. They just need something to go their way so that they can collectively get this monkey off their back and move on with the season. I think Liz is right? Like, these guys, we do believe in them. We may not believe in the tactics that they're being asked to play. That's a question that I still have, right? But that's not me saying that I don't think these players are not good players. I don't think that this roster is not a good roster. Are there things that I think can be done differently year in and year out? And I will defend that year in and year out, that yes, I think that Bob can make decisions that make the team grow more and more and more. But that's not what we're asking here. These guys can go out, they can win, they can beat anybody. And so they need something to help them find that magic to go out and do something. A good showing against NYCFC and a potential positive outcome for them, that could be the spark that they need. So I love like the hope paired with sass, paired with hope that Liz portrayed in there. And I'm here for it.
Agreed. I think my takeaway from what you both said is everyone needs to keep in mind that the players are people. And I think that's one thing that we've strived to do on this show, is try to convey that they are people, that they're people that we care about and we want to keep having conversations with. And right now they are all carrying a massive weight on their shoulders. And if there's anything that we can do as fans to help alleviate some of that weight, I think being able to take a deep breath and just understand that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a game. It's a bunch of guys playing a game. And I know it's difficult when that's your job, but like, you guys got, like, you're good enough. You got this. Like, you don't need to be anything spectacular. You just need to beat yourself, and we'll get through this. That's not saying it's going to be easy, but like, yeah.
No, like I expect Wednesday, quite frankly, what I would love to see is like a really hard game where we show poise and then we get a last minute goal. I want it to be nail biter, questionable. You know, I think that we are going to have to fight for our lives, but I want to see them do that cohesively. And then I will take an 87th minute goal for the Hounds to win it. And then to finally just take a deep breath right before they get rushed again for the second time this week on the field for fan signatures.
Yep. Guys, any other final thoughts on this one before we jump into Mondo's moment and try to have some fun here?
So I think the big question that I'm trying to figure out, and I don't think we'll know this for at least until next Saturday in Louisville, is this roster was built with a new formation and strategy and tactic in mind. We saw that shift in the Detroit game, and then we saw the 3 at the back last night. Is that a decision based on the lack of availability of Luke Biasi last night, or is that Bob reverting back to what he knows? And so I just have questions about what we're going to see going forward. And I don't want to see what we've always seen, right? I want to see this new, more open ability for it to be more attacking soccer to come to fruition, because I think that that's where we can get into some crazy fun times again. So, but I think that's just the big thing. Like, we went with 3 at the back again, and I'm asking myself, why did we do that?
My hope is that this was just we don't have Luke Biasi and we don't have a reasonable replacement for him at this point. Justin pretty much called it when I was like, what do you do? And he was like, well, you know, you move Barnes to one side, and Fetu's back, you play him on the other side, and there you go. And that's kind of what we did. Yeah. I don't see us, I hope I don't see us playing like this, because there were moments in that game where even somebody like Sample just seemed like he was running around and had no idea where to be or what to do. And Bradley Sample's a very intelligent player. And so if you're going to make changes, you got to then have more time to bed in. And what we don't have a ton of right now is time. I think you got to kind of play to your strengths and see where that gets you.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All fair.
All fair. All right, let's see what Mondo thinks on this May the 4th. Be with you both.
It's time for Mondo's moment, the top moment of the game from the Mandalorian.
This week's Mondo moment comes from early in the game when we see Aiden O'Toole break a defender's ankles and then split two defenders, much like we see in D2 the Mighty Ducks for a chance on goal. This is the way.
This has been Mondo's moment. Go Hounds.
The real Mondo's moment was the halftime mascot soccer game where two of the mascots on opposite teams got in a fight, like Ammo and one of the other ones got in a fight, right? And Mondo gets in there and it's like breaking it up. That's the real Mondo moment for me.
Kudos to Mondo, who filmed that on the 10th Street Bridge during the half marathon this morning and sent it. But yes, we got to get Drew back on. I want to hear more about Mascot Mania. I had no idea he was going to be part of it, and so the fact that he was recruited just makes sense. But yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Guys, this was This was a home game.
That's not what
It wasn't mocking you. Sorry.
It's fine.
That's fine. I mean, it's on. It's perfect.
Liz, you know what? It was a home game. Do you know what that means?
Tuxedo dress-up party.
You know that girls know how to ask any man around.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. So I'm going to try to turn that down just a little bit because it came in really hot. So for those of you who have not been privy to a tuxedo dress-up party before, the league has sort of pushed this whole idea of, as players arrive, the teams take pictures of them and put them all over Instagram. And we said, this is utterly ridiculous. We should do something that's equally utterly ridiculous. And so we literally talk about what the guys are wearing when they show up. Now, I will preface this by saying, I'm going to turn this down even more because I can't hear myself talk. Okay, so I will preface this even more by saying that I showed my wife the walk-up pictures for a very specific reason, and we're going to get to that reason in a second. And she was like, like some of these guys are looking good. Like, and I was like, yes, they are. So I'm going to run through those guys now. And you guys
I want to just like appreciate your wife, like being like calling that out, because we have been saying that for so long.
Yes.
But just be like, wow, like that's great.
Yeah. So we'll start off with Augie, who not performing on the field, but man, he is performing as he approaches.
Absolutely serving.
Absolutely. I mean, look, even just the look on the face, he knows, he takes his fashion very seriously, and it shows. Dude looks great. He's got sort of gray shorts that match a gray jacket on top of a white t-shirt. He absolutely brings it. Danny Griffin, I feel like he loves the white on white. And so the white shirt with the white button up and the light jeans and the white shoes, these are all ones that my wife was like, yes, okay. She thought Alal looked very well put together. He looks confident, which is good. We need a little bit more on the field, please. Who else? Suber. She was like, my gosh, the quarter zip with the light pants, just absolutely bringing it. We had Vactor and Bertan coming in, looking fresh, looking clean. It all looked really good. Then we had the ones that it was just kind of like, okay. You had Pablo, who shows up with some baggy jeans, and
those are really baggy.
They're very
Jinkos
baggy.
are coming back, kids. Jinkos are coming back.
They are, and I think I saw some sort of quote. It was maybe from him. I don't know if he missed his prom for this. So like, well, it wouldn't have been his prom, but it would have been prom that. Actually, I don't know. I'm just talking right now. Bradley Sample tries to bring it in again with a Card Shark t-shirt, also the baggy jeans, looking good. Who did I miss here? Brigham Larson, dude looks good. It's not overly dressy. It's not overly casual. It's somewhere in between. Beto, she said it looked like he kind of just rolled out of bed. He's wearing a Pirates jersey with a Hounds jacket on top of it. But, you know, he looks calm. He looks confident. But I think the piece de resistance, and if you guys disagree with this, we're going to have issues, was Eric Dick with the how did you guys phrase it? Was it the
shirtception?
Shirtception. Yeah. So this is Eric Dick is wearing a t-shirt that has a picture of Jackson Walty wearing a t-shirt that has Eric Dick on it. And I was very proud of this. And my wife was like, why are you smiling? Well, guys, because I too have the Jackson Walty wearing an Eric Dick t-shirt. When I saw Jackson Walty show up wearing this, I said, I have to send this to Eric. So I literally, I messaged him. I said, what size is your shirt? And I sent him the shirt, and he understood the assignment right away. He was like, I'm wearing it to walk-ups. So
amazing.
Yeah. So there you go. We may sell these. We may not. I don't know. If you want a $20 Jackson Walty wearing an Eric Dick t-shirt, let me know. We'll make it happen. Does anyone disagree? Liz, this is your first tuxedo dress-up party. Are you on board with saying that Eric Dick won this one, or do you think that
obviously because all it makes me think of is who was it? Macaulay Culkin and somebody else also did a shirtception, and this is perfect. It's a perfect throwback for me. No notes.
Okay, good. I don't think we'll take it a step further. I don't think Walty needs a shirt of Dick wearing a shirt of Walty wearing a shirt of Dick. That feels
you
like a
are
step
certainly
too far.
wrong, but that's fine. That's fine.
Maybe that's the one that we sell. We put I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, we might. Yeah, we're gonna have fun with it. But there you go.
I want this on a mug, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that too. So there you go. There's your tuxedo dress up. I'm killing the music. There's your tuxedo dress up party, guys. We do need to. People. We do need to pick our top 3 players here. I know it was a loss. I kind of did the player ratings in isolation because you guys were all at the games, so we don't have to go off of those. Liz, you've been listening, but typically how this works is that we pick 3 players, we rank them. Top player gets 3 points, second place gets 2, third place gets 1. They end up on the board behind me. By the end of the season, we'll have a clear idea of who was the best player based on the points over the course of the game. Liz, give me someone that you think should be in your top 3. It doesn't have to be your number 1, top 3.
I hate this game because I'm bad at it.
Should I play the music again? Would that help?
I mean, maybe. No, I don't want to go first. Someone else go first.
Steve?
I'm passing.
Can I give you my top 3? All 3 of them? In no particular order?
All right, give us your top 3, and then, Liz, we can, swap in players here. So you got
Sean Suber, Perrin Barnes, and Brigham Larson.
Oh, man. Okay. One of those was on my list.
I mean, I definitely agree with Barnes.
Okay. That was the one that was on my list.
I do remember making comments about him saving a couple of plays. So he definitely makes the list for me.
He was good both ways for me. And he was not responsible for either of those goals.
Right. And there was a couple of shots that I saw him put his body on the line for and scramble in ways that I did not see the other players do.
Really like everything I've seen from him so far.
I've been very, very happy with Barnes so far this season. Yes, agreed. So he's in our top 3 for sure. Liz, do you agree with either Suber or Larson, or do you want to swap somebody in for one of them?
I would like to swap in Sample, especially because of I thought the corners were fairly decent, and for a team that for some godforsaken reason is playing in the air all the time, we need good corners. So I'd actually like to swap in Sample.
For a short team that's playing in the air.
We have aspirations.
We do. I'm trying to remember my player ratings. I'm going to throw them back up on the screen. Oh, okay. So I had Walty and Barnes as my top players. Can we make a shout for Walty over Sample, Larson, or Suber?
I can't last night.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't have a third, but he didn't really stand out to me last night.
And he made
To be fair, I don't have a third, so not many people stood out to me last night.
He made some mistakes. He got beat too many times. He had errant passes. He was all over the place again, but
I think maybe to his detriment last night. I think, the team was a little bit faster, and you can't play the entire width of the field for 90 minutes and keep up. I mean, Thomas Vankiaziel barely did it. But
all right, well,
sorry.
I'm gonna cross Walty off the list then. Is this the first time he's not on the this is not the first time he's not been on the board. But
I think every other time you guys have felt bad and not put him on the board as opposed to
no. All right, so that means that we have Suber, Larson, and Sample, and we can only pick 2. So who doesn't make that cut?
if I got to cut one of my two, that's a really hard choice. I think I have to cut Larson because of the time on the field. But I'll say that Larson gets an honorable mention because he came on and he made things happen. And that was a breath of fresh air last night. But I would have to stick with Sean Suber over Larson on the night, because I think that game could have easily been 4 or 5-0 if Sean Suber wasn't doing the job that he was doing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good call out. I mean, Mike, you said it, like they brought the ball down and actually kept it on the field. So that was really nice to see once the switches were made.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see more of Larson. I think that he brings a different approach to the attack than what we've been seeing, and that's something we need right now.
Yeah.
And so I think it also pushed Griffin back into midfield more, which is a topic that we will save for another time, but I would like to see more of that too. But I think I would agree. So are we saying our top three are Suber, Barnes, and Sample? Or Liz, were you persuaded enough about Larson that you would put Larson in over Sample?
No.
Okay, so Suber, Barnes,
Sample.
Are we saying Barnes is our de facto number one?
That's my number one.
He was the best player on the field, I thought, for the Hounds last night.
All right, so Barnes at number one, and then Suber and Sample. Who's number two? Who's number three?
Sample's 2 for me.
Suber's 2 for me.
Jeez.
So, Mike, what do you think? Our fearless leader, make good choices.
Okay, stop it. I feel bad giving Sample number 2 after I feel like 5 minutes ago I was like, he was running around and had no idea where he was supposed to be. So I'm going to go Suber at 2, and I'll say Sample at 3. I think both did well enough. I agree that this is a case where we talked to when I talked to Biasi earlier this season, and we were talking about this whole rating system, and he kind of came out and he challenged us, and he was like, look, what we're doing on defense is really difficult. And oftentimes it's the case where if we're doing our job really well, you just don't notice it because that's what we're there to do. And so he was like, I would always kind of bump himself up a couple points just because like it goes unnoticed. And I think that a lot of what we've seen this season, we said, 1.25 goals against per game. Sean Suber has played almost every minute of these games and been responsible for being kind of like the rock back there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll say Suber 2, Sample at 3.
I think that's fair.
That is what we think. Let us know what you think. Guys, we mentioned NYCFC come to town on Wednesday. We said we do care. We said that there is some hope. It sounds like packages of tickets have already been sold out. They're now down to single tickets that are being sold. Hopefully there's a massive turnout. It is going to be a Wednesday night game, but make sure that you try to get down to Highmark for that. Any kind of final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Liz, I'll start with you.
I don't know. I like soccer. I like you guys. This is still fun. It still brings me a lot of joy. And I think there's a lot to be said for what we've built in Pittsburgh. That's still true.
Agreed. Steve, any closing remarks here?
I am just going to agree once again with Liz about
what a great show.
Mental health for these guys, and that we do care about them. And I want to echo that really clearly and directly, that we do care about them, and we care about them as associates. It's like, I absolutely love how you talked about it, Liz. Agreed, Liz.
Yeah. I will let everyone know, I don't know what our schedule is going to be like in terms of putting out content this week. I know that whenever the team typically has 2 games over the course of the week, they will not make players available for interviews, which is totally understandable. They give the guys a break on Thursday, which is when I typically do it. That said, we are trying to line up a conversation with somebody from the Riveters because they're like 2 weeks away from kicking off, which is insane. I saw, Sabrina was it Sabrina that handed out the game ball to kick things off?
And their home openers almost sold out.
Yeah, so
there's limited tickets. So
yeah, a lot to look forward to with the Riveters. So we're going to try to talk to somebody from there this week. Whether or not we end up doing an actual recap show of NYCFC versus Justin and I talk about it on the prediction show, we will see. It's going to depend on availability, but otherwise, best of luck to the guys on Wednesday. Here's hoping that we can get some form of a result, even if it's a loss. A good showing, I think, is going to do a lot for the belief, not of just the fan base, but of the guys themselves. And so here's hoping that we're able to get something there. If you do want a Jackson Walty wearing an Eric Dick t-shirt, let us know in the comments or on social media, and we will try to figure out some way to get you one. Otherwise, thanks, everybody. We'll be back with more Hounds and Riveters content for you very, very soon.
Bye.
See ya.